House to discuss a specific and important matter that I believe should have urgent consideration, namely whether the House of Commons should defer consideration of Lord's amendments to the Health and Social Care Bill until after disclosure of the Transition Risk Register. In the other place, they are debating this issue imminently, and my colleagues and I thought it important that this House has the opportunity of debating the matter too. In just 24 hours' time, this House will be asked to agree far-reaching changes to the NHS in England, drawn up in large part in the other place. And yet, as of now, members find themselves in the highly unsatisfactory position of not being in possession of all relevant information needed to make a full and considered judgment on whether those changes should be allowed to proceed. Reorganising the NHS at this time of financial stress might expose it to greater risk, and to establish the precise nature and scale of those risks, my right honourable friend, the member for Wentworth and Dearne, submitted an FOI request to the Department for its Transition Risk Register on this reorganisation. Along with colleagues on this side of the House, we have consistently argued that this information be published to inform the public and parliamentary debate. But that's not just my opinion, Mr. Speaker. It's the considered opinion of the Information Commissioner, who has had the benefit of viewing the Transition Risk Register. He ruled, and I quote, "Disclosure would go somewhat further in helping the public to better understand the risks associated with the modernisation of the NHS than any information that has previously been published." The Commissioner's ruling has in turn now been endorsed by the Information Rights Tribunal. Indeed, the Tribunal was brought forward presumably so that its deliberations could be concluded in time for their decision to influence the debate in Parliament. 10 days on, we have had no substantial response from the government to this ruling, save to say it awaits the Tribunal's detailed reasons. We note that the government's ability to appeal is limited to a point of law, not to reopen the merits of this case. Mr. Speaker, this is not a matter of the rights and wrongs of the bill. It concerns the fundamental principle of the primacy of the elected House of Commons and its opportunity for scrutiny. Parliament has a right to know before it is asked to make a final judgment that will have huge implications for every person in this country. Many people would feel it wrong if the government were to use procedural devices to prevent the House seeing the Transition Risk Register before the bill has completed its passage through Parliament. This is the last opportunity for this House to urge the government to publish the register. If this House allows this situation to go unchallenged, or even to pass without comment, it would represent a major weakening of the role of this House to scrutinise the legislation before it. Mr. Speaker, I am grateful for this opportunity to make this request and hope you will look favourably on it.
The right honourable gentleman asks leave to propose a debate on a specific and important matter that should have urgent consideration, namely whether the House should defer consideration of Lord's amendments to the Health and Social Care Bill until after disclosure of the NHS Transitional Risk Register. I have listened carefully to the application from the Right Honourable Member, and I am satisfied that the matter raised by the Right Honourable Member is proper to be discussed under Standing Order number 24. Has the Right Honourable Gentleman the leave of the House?
Aye. You don't have to.
The House is becoming too excitable. I say to the honourable member for Blythe Valley, who's a very senior citizen in the House, I look to the honourable gentleman for a display of statesmanship, but I appear to have looked in vain. The right honourable gentleman has obtained the leave of the House. The debate will be held tomorrow, Tuesday the 20th of March, as the first item of public business. The debate will last for 1.5 hours, and will arise on a motion that the House has considered the specified matter set out in the application by the right honourable gentleman. Order. We come now to the main business. Point of order, Mr. Steve Rotherham.
Mr. Speaker, you'll be aware on last Thursday, a document was reported and leaked to the BBC on the Hillsborough disaster, cabinet papers from 1989. There are many that believe that this leak could only have come from either a senior politician, a senior civil servant, or by the BBC themselves having access to this sensitive documentation. Mr. Speaker, there are also further suggestions that there may well be further leaks on a drip basis, which will undermine the work of the Hillsborough Independent Panel. Given the urgency...
I intend no discourtesy to the honourable gentleman. What I'm seeking to establish is what is the point of order for the chair. That's the question. The honourable gentleman.
Mr. Speaker, given the urgency of the current situation, perhaps you, Mr. Speaker, can offer me guidance as the most appropriate parliamentary mechanism to ensure that as many members as possible have the opportunity and sufficient time to debate the intricacies of such a complex issue.
There are a number of answers to that. First of all, I don't give procedural advice to members from the chair. Secondly, as one WAG just observed from a sedentary position, it is open to the honourable gentleman to consult the standing orders, and he can probably do so with advantage. And thirdly, my genuine advice, constructive advice to the honourable gentleman is that he should consult the Table Office about the variety of parliamentary devices that could be available to him further and better to pursue the matter. Point of order, Mr. George Howarth.
Mr. Speaker, given the serious allegations that were made in the revelations that my honourable friend Philip Paul Walton referred to, shouldn't a minister now come to this House and explain to the House that those allegations against the Liverpool fans at Hillsborough are themselves scandalous?
I understand the very great strength of feeling on this matter, but I have ruled on the point of order. I respect the seniority and service of the right honourable gentleman. If the Home Secretary wishes to oblige, that is exceptionally obliging of her. The Home Secretary.
Not to respond to the point made by the right honourable gentleman, but I think it would be to the benefit of the House to indicate that there is a leak inquiry that has been initiated by the Cabinet Office, and I share the concerns that have been expressed by the honourable gentleman in raising his point of order in relation to the impact that leaks of this sort have on what is a very sensitive matter in relation to ensuring that the full information is put together by the Hillsborough panel, and that information in any documents, I believe, should be shown to the families first and should not be leaked to the press in any form. But the Cabinet Office is undertaking a leak inquiry.
It is both helpful and courteous of the Home Secretary, and the House is immensely grateful to her. If there are no further points of order, we come now to the main business and to the first